Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Melissa, the founder of OnCall COO. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So tell us a little bit more. What do you guys do at OnCall COO?
OnCall COO is a fractional chief operating officer advisory firm. So what does that mean? Because that's a lot of words. So we have a team of what I call corporate dropout COOs from Fortune 100 and 500 companies, and we now deploy our skills and expertise to small businesses. So we support businesses that are in the 7 and 8 figure club. We help them build strategic plans and then execute operationally. And one of the extra things that we have is that we don't just provide advisory services. We don't just talk at you. We actually roll up our sleeves and get things done. And when we find it helpful, we bring operations managers with us to really move the needle in a quick and efficient way inside of businesses.
And I know when we previously spoke, you said you felt it was like a market that was a bit underserved at the moment. Why do you feel it is underserved?
I feel it's underserved for a few reasons. One is that the role of a COO is quite hard to understand. It's vague, and that's by design because typically a COO is the yin to the founder's yang. So we're a little bit of chameleons. We're strong where the founder's weak. So if you are a founder that's very product focused and not systems focused, then we come in and we provide that help. Some founders really love administrative things and systems, and they're horrible at sales, right? So we come in and kind of do both. The other thing that's really interesting in the marketplace is that in the small business space, often the contractors or employees that you have worked inside of other small businesses. And so they've learned inside of small containers. And we all come from very big containers, multi-billion-dollar businesses that are primarily global in nature. And so we've seen and done kind of all of the things. We've broken companies apart, put them back together. We've sold them. We've optimized. We've saved money. We've grown business divisions. And so our unique skill set that is not easy to find is what I call a credentialed skill set. You can call our employers and say, did they work as a COO with you for this long, and et cetera. It's not in the marketplace, and it's usually cost prohibitive for a small business to buy. If they want a Fortune 100 COO instead of a $1 million business, they're never going to have the money for it. And so we provide that level of expertise and skill at a fraction of the cost that can really help them explode in growth and unlock new avenues for the business to thrive.
Gotcha. And what would you say is like the biggest misconception about what you guys do and that you wish your prospects knew more about it?
So there's a few. One of them is that all we do is provide advice. So I refer to it as talking head support, where we'll spend time talking to you and saying, you should do this, or you can do that, or you can do these things, but we don't actually help move the needle. That's one of them. I think the other is that small businesses think that it's too soon for them to need or be able to tap into this level of support and expertise. And sometimes they tap in too late. And so often when small business owners come to us, the things that they are feeling, the symptoms that they have are the business is chaotic, or we were growing really rapidly and then we plateaued and now we're declining, or I can't keep employees inside of the building. They keep running and leaving. And what we find is that if we had been able to come in 6 months before or a year before, when growth was going really well, when things felt really good, we would be able to identify the small break points in the business and say, let's fix this right now, so that we don't hit the plateau, we don't hit the decline, you don't have the people running out of the building. And so I think that this is one of those areas where the investment always pays for itself. And you want us to come in before the chaos hits, before the stress is overwhelming, before you feel like you have nowhere else to turn, because we can often help you avoid getting to that place if we're in there earlier with you.
Mm-hmm. So what things should they then look for when assessing, okay, we should bring in a COO?
So one of the things to look for, and that's a great question because we've got a pretty strong point of view about it, although it's different for everybody, is that to make $1 million in general, if you hustle hard enough and you do have something that people will buy, you can get there on your own. You could do a million once, right? You can kind of, that's where the experimentation and testing come in. The do I have something viable and is this business going to stand the test of time comes from the $1 million to $3 million frame of reference. Once you hit 3 and you've been able to consecutively generate $1 million year over year, you know that you have a model that works, you know you have client, you know who your clients are, you know what you're selling. That's the perfect time to bring in a COO. You can bring in a COO earlier, but what they're going to be doing is help you ideate and experiment. And that's not our sweet spot. Our sweet spot is taking something that works, something that there is demand for in the marketplace, and then finding ways to exploit it to really get that powerful growth that's sustainable and long-term. And growth is different for everybody. So I also want to caveat that a little bit, that like we're not talking about we'll come in and take you from 3 million to 100 million. For some people, the goal is I'd like to get my business to $5 million and then have somebody run it and step back and go enjoy 6 months out of the year traveling. We work with everybody to understand what those goals are and what we're working towards, but we're most helpful when the business is established and you know what you're selling, who you're selling to, and you've had a consistent, repeatable demonstration that you have in fact sold those things.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then changing gears a little bit, I know you said you started this business pretty recently. You said back in 2023, and then since then you've like grown it really quickly. So can you tell us a little bit more about like I guess like how you started the business and then what led to it growing so quickly? I think what was it? It was like I was looking for the exact stat I had. You did 850 last year and then 3 million this year. Or I'll let you
Yeah.
say.
That's so I love this story a little bit. So I left a very large financial services company in 2022 as the COO, and I went to a startup and tried that until it didn't work. So 9 months later, startup wasn't working and I needed to do something else. And so I really started with just taking one client. I needed something to get some money into the door, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to go back to a big corporation or do something else. And so in the fall of 2023, I started as a solopreneur. I said I was going to be a single shingle person. I couldn't replicate me, so I was just going to take as much work as I could, and then that was going to be the end of it. And that was really where the business was born. And then I lived that way for about 18 months. So I was taking on additional clients. I was slowly growing the business. And in the spring of 2025, two things happened simultaneously. Demand exceeded my personal supply. It's always a good problem to have in business, right? And there were other COOs coming out of the woodwork saying, I want to be a part of the team. And I was like, well, that's not a thing. It's just me. There is no team. And so when demand exceeded my capacity, I said, well, let's try. Let's run a little proof of concept and see if it will happen. And finding and being very disciplined in our criteria for who joins the team, finding additional COOs and then adding the operations managers to the team helped us grow really dramatically. In 2023, we had $9,000 in cash collected. It was not a banner year for the business, but at least it started. In 2024, we collected about $275,000 in cash. Like you said, last year we were at about 850, and this year we're on track for 3 million. And one of the reasons that those numbers are meaningful to me is because our commitment to our clients is that we're going to help them unlock growth and scale, whatever that means for them. And so we are demonstrating by way of our business that we can do exactly that and do it really, really fast. And it's been a lot of fun. The ride is an interesting one, but we've been able to help clients in every industry. There isn't a single one at this point that I can't say we haven't had a client in, which is a really cool thing to be able to declare just 3 years in.
Nice. Yeah. It's pretty cool that you can say we're doing exactly what we're teaching in our business as well. So it's proof this works and then helping other people. And so what would you say was one of the key things that led to such rapid expansion from, you said like the spring of 2025 and starting to get so more demand than what you can handle? How did you go about growing the brand awareness and getting more people interested?
It was really intentional and it was multifaceted. And so the first thing that I pinned on was that we weren't going to be a staffing agency. So I really had to define the identity of the business and what we were we are offering. We're a services-based business. So I often refer to ourselves as professional services or management consulting or like those sorts of things. That's really what we are. We're not a staffing agency where you come in and we just throw bodies at you and figure it out. We also got very, very clear on who we serve and who we don't. So instead of saying yes to all of the business, we became just as specific around who we could help and assist as we were with who we were adding to the team. And then I think that the other piece of it was we got very vocal kind of in all channels that we could. So I started working with a publicist so I could do podcasts like this one and other ones. And we could really get the word out around who we are, what we serve, how we're different, and then took that model and ensured that no matter what we were doing, and it's why we've scaled the team slowly, intentionally, is we want to ensure every person we add delivers with the same quality as the one before. And so could we accept the 25 or 30 employment applications we get every month? Sure. And could we spend more on ads and have work for them to do? Sure. What we wouldn't be able to do is ensure that the quality of staffing and the quality of clients were a good match, and that would degrade the brand. And so we've intentionally made a decision to have a quality control kind of at the very, very beginning so that we can grow the brand exponentially, and that it's really been working and paying off.
That's awesome. Yeah, having the right people on the bus and having the right people that you work with definitely make a big difference. And in terms of like marketing activities, so you said one of the things you did is working with the publicist, doing the podcast. What would you say is like one of the biggest like needle moving things that you guys do marketing wise? And
yeah, so there's a couple of things. We are pretty sophisticated with running paid advertising, and so that has really helped us from 2 points of position. One of them is people that have high intent and know that they want the services, being able to find us. The other is that we provide a lot of free resources out into the marketplace. We send a few emails a week. We have a Substack. There's a podcast that happens. And so those that are aspirational, business owners or look to grow into a size of being our clients, they get those access there as well. And that list is growing at a very steady clip. I think we've got about 5,000 people on the email list, and we only started growing it about 18 months ago. So, and they read the emails, which is the most important metric of all. And then the other piece of that is we have been really intentional with taking content and creating blogs on our website so that AI can find our services and find our business and recommend. So in the last few months, at least 5% of the sales calls that have been coming in the door, we ask, how did you find us? And they ChatGPT said that we should talk to you, or Claude said we should talk to you. And so we're really kind of exploiting some of those newer technologies so that those that are looking for solutions and help know that we're here and we're ready to speak with them.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating how people, if say ChatGPT recommended you guys, it's kind of like a referral from a friend these days. People just blindly trust, or a lot of people blindly trust, just say, okay, cool, this is what it should be, when sometimes you should also question sometimes what these LLMs say. But that's pretty cool that you're getting people through there. It's definitely like a new avenue I know quite a few people are exploring. And then you said you like running the paid ads. You guys are pretty good at that. What would you say is like, I guess, the split between the different marketing acquisition channels?
So I would say that probably, 90% come from paid advertising. I think is probably where we're at. And then the last 10% is a combination of somebody finally decided to come in off the email list. Somebody came from, any of the media pushes that we do, AI is recommending them in. It's kind of a mixed bag on kind of all of the PR publicity things that happen. We're getting much more active on LinkedIn. And so I think also over time, LinkedIn is going to be a great referral source for us as well, because it's a little bit like you were talking about the LLMs. When somebody in your LinkedIn network says, hey, this is a great business to work with, it just provides that extra nudge of like, oh, well, I know you. And if you're saying that they're good, then maybe I should look into it.
Oh yeah, it's referral. It's 10 times easier.
100%.
That's pretty crazy though, that you get 90% from paid ads. I know usually with this type of business model, most people it's like 90% referrals. So I'm curious, what led you guys to going so heavy into the paid ads route as opposed to the traditional referrals type of thing?
So, because what we do is not well known and is not on that checklist of what do I, when I start a business, what's all the support and help that I need? You know, when you start a business, you often think about, oh, well, I need a copywriter, or I need a social media manager, or I need a, you know, you got kind of, I need a finance person or a bookkeeper. You have a little bit of a hit list. Our services are not that. And so there was a couple of approaches that we could take. One is to try to turn the tide and educate the world about the services we offer. And that's a big lift. I mean, we're doing it slowly, but it's a really big lift. And so the other was, well, if there are people out there looking for help and they just don't know what sort of help they need, then potentially what we could do is find the people with high intent who are out there searching on Google and saying, I need help, and send them to our website. And if we resonate with them, then they'll be like, this is the solution for my problems. And that has really paid off. It's really shown that there are some people that are relatively educated and they're like, I know I want a fractional COO, and so they literally type in that keyword to Google and we pop up. There's other ones that are looking for, you know, growth strategy or exit planning strategy or some of those things, and so they find us as well. And finding people that have a high intent to get support is the difference between sales calls, a booked sales calendar, and an empty sales calendar.
Mhm. So what do you mean by that exactly?
So there, because the services that we have are a little bit less known, those that know that they need us, those that are problem aware and solution aware, so those that are out there looking, like, I know that I have a problem and I know this is what I need to solve it, or I need somebody that knows stuff about this to solve it. When they get to our website, they know they want to talk to us.
Got it.
You know, and that's what I mean by high intent, is that advertising works really well when you can target the people that have high intent to take
Yeah.
action. And so that's what we've gotten really, really good at. We're definitely not out there in the meta space, you know, just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to educate and get awareness. What we're doing is we're spending time in places where we know people are looking and searching.
Yeah, it's like the marketing funnel where it, like, is it like what you said, problem aware, solution aware, and it just makes it so much easier if they don't even really know what their problem is or don't believe they have a problem. Trying to sell someone that doesn't think that, it's almost impossible. So
It is, and what we also found, because we've tried all sorts of things, right? Like we're in the like the online business, we're all kind of in that space. So we've tried hosting master classes and webinars and, you know, free trainings, and our clients are so busy and so buried in work that they don't have the capacity to go learn how to run operations in their business. They just want somebody to do it. And so that was why we really pivoted more to the advertising, the paid advertising approach, was because we realized that those that really need us the most and are ready to take action aren't the ones that have a flexible schedule and can sit in, you know, a few hours of training to learn how to do it themselves. They don't want to. They want it done for them.
yeah, they're very time poor, so they just need.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's interesting. And then, so what's like some of the other goals that you guys are working towards for the rest of the year?
So one of the things that we're working towards the rest of the year is focusing a little bit more on client, our active client roster engagement and retention. So often they come in with a goal of, in the next 6 months, I want to hit this, or in the next 9 months, we want to hit this. And we would like to stay with our clients a little bit longer if we can. We love it when people graduate from us. So we're a little bit different in that regard, that we're not trying to stay there forever. But we would like to stay, you know, a year to 18 months, because we find that that's a really good sweet spot. We can stay about 18 months in a business. They're set up really well to move into the future. So retention is one of them. Another thing that we're after is, now that we've been in business for a while and we've had a steady roster of clients, we'd like to really get a bit better with referrals and referral partners. So we have a handful of businesses that we refer out, you know, so if you need marketing support, we refer out, or CFO services. And so we'd like to develop those relationships a little bit stronger in kind, so that we're seeing some cross network promotions as well. And then because we can't get away from it, the third thing is that we're really working on the business brand and social media, and just kind of getting that, whether it's LinkedIn or, you know, Instagram, et cetera. We're really working on getting those accounts, kind of to a healthy place with consistent posting and a good resource pool for people as they're going out and looking at it.
Nice. And what does that look like for you guys? What type of content are you thinking about posting for that?
So on LinkedIn, we are committed to posting a post a day on the business page right now. I'm posting an article a week from me on my page around thought leadership of things that we're talking about. And then in the social media space, we're just doing a lot of playing and experimenting,
Mm.
quite honestly. We're doing a mixed bag of short form videos and carousel posts and some static images, and we're seeing what gets engagement and what it's where we can kind of play with topics a little bit too. So what are people wanting to learn about? Where is their interest peaked? Where did we say something controversial that we should dig into more? And so we're doing a lot of experimentation with just what the hot topics of the day are and how we can get some more education out there into the world.
Yeah, yeah, and social media is really interesting as well, seeing what works and what doesn't as well. Like I've had videos where it was just really bad lighting. I didn't really think what I was gonna say, and I kind of just like spitballed it, do really good. Whereas videos with like really good lighting, like a really thought out script, thought out topics, do worse than that. So it's a pretty fascinating just trying to figure out what things work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it gives us an opportunity to figure out what language resonates. So we have the upside is we have a lot of conversations with business owners. So we have a good idea of what they're coming in with. But then we can take some of those themes and throw them back out into the social media, machine and say, was it just this one person that thought that? Or like really is this a pain point that everybody's experiencing and should we talk about it some more?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really interesting, like the common languages and
Mm-hmm.
words that they use, and then using that for your marketing, so it resonates even more with the people that you want. Definitely. I know we're starting around a time here. It's gone really quickly. Let's finish on. How about what has been a book or books that you've read that have been the most influential with running the business?
That is a great question. And I probably have two, and they're completely different. So, Big Magic is a book that I love. It's written by Elizabeth Gilbert. And, like, basically, the premise or the content behind it is that ideas are out there in the universe. And when one's presented to you, you have the choice to act on it or not. And if you don't act on it, it will go to somebody else. And so it was just a very interesting kind of woo woo way to look at how to make decisions about what ideas you chase and whatnot. And then The Psychology of Money is a book that I have read like multiple times. And I think that part of that is potentially the generation that I grew up in where we didn't talk about money a lot. And so it really helped rewire my brain at the right time as it relates to money. And that's one that I lean into quite often as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check out the Psychology of Money. I've had a few people recommend that one to me. I haven't checked out that one yet. So yeah,
It's
it
great.
sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Um, well, it's been great having you on the show. Where can people go to learn a little bit more about you and what you guys do?
You can find us on LinkedIn. So OnCall COO has its own page, or you can come connect with me over there. Our website is melissafranks.com. At some point, it will convert over to your oncallcoo.com, but it's taken a while. And I'm also on Instagram at Melissa Franks. So any of those places work.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll include those links in the show notes below. I appreciate you coming on. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.